Well, to almost no one's surprise, the Dodgers are your back-to-back World Series champs. We'll see if they're as good at dodging a salary cap after next year. First college football playoff rankings were released on Tuesday, but I wasn't able to watch the reveal because of Disney bickering with Google, even though they made twice as much money in 2024 as they did in 2023 because of the purchase of Hulu. Disney, you're ranked last. And the NFL trade deadline came and went, but he's not Pepperhead. He's the Sauce Gardner. Going to Indy. Welcome back for number 179 of HN'P. Recorded in central Pennsylvania in front of a live studio audience with your host Ian DiCarlo, this is Hoagies and Pierogis. All right, let's pick up right where we left off last week with Game 5 of the World Series between the Dodgers and Blue Jays. Game 5 started out with a bang for the Blue Jays. 2 straight home runs to start the game, one from Davis Schneider and one from who other than Vlad Jr., and they were up 2-0 early. This is the first time in World Series history that the first 2 batters hit a home run. And they may have been impressive on the offensive side, but they were even more impressive on the pitching side. Trey Yesevich, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, 1 earned run, and 12 strikeouts. That's a new rookie record in the World Series. The Jays won Game 5 6-1, and there were actually a lot of 6-1 and 6-2 games in this playoffs in general. The Blue Jays took a 3-2 series lead, but who else shows up to Game 6 than Drake? Drake is the bad luck charm for all sports teams. Of course they lost Game 6. Yamamoto went 6 innings pitched with 5 hits, 1 earned run, and 6 strikeouts with a walk and the W. The Dodgers won Game 6 3-1 and forced Game 7. So for this Game 7, we had Max Scherzer up against Shohei Ohtani on the mound. Scherzer, I believe, is one of only 2 starting pitchers to start 2 Game 7s of the World Series. So it was going pretty well for the Blue Jays. They went up 3-0 on a Bo Bichette home run, who is going to be a free agent this season. But then the Dodgers kind of started chipping away at the lead, 3-1, 3-2, and then Ernie Clement, he had 30 hits in this postseason. That is a new record. He scored in the 6th inning. That made it 4-2. And here in the 8th inning, I don't know if going to Trey Yesevich was such a great idea. I mean, he's a rookie, and you've been leaning on him heavily. He let up a run. It was 4-3. And then you could feel it brewing in the top of the 9th inning. No, it wasn't the Brewers. It was the Dodgers and their bullshit. They had a home run off Jeff Hoffman, and it was just a hanging slider, basically right down the middle. Miguel Rojas smacked that thing, sent it into the seats to tie the game at 4 in the 9th inning. And then who else but Yoshinobu Yamamoto comes out for the bottom of the 9th inning after just throwing 6 innings and 96 pitches in the game before, literally the day before, and got the win in Game 6. He's out there for the bottom of the 9th. And it actually wasn't good. When he came into the game, there were already 2 batters on base, and he hit Kirk to load the bases. And at that point, he had to face 2 more batters. IKF was the runner on third, and a ground ball was hit towards second base. And IKF, and the I stands for inches, was thrown out with the force out at home plate. And it was just literally, if he were 2 more inches closer, if he would have taken a lead off of third base, he would have made it. And the Blue Jays would have walked it off in the bottom of the 9th inning and won 5-4. But nope, he got thrown out literally an inch. It was so close. That will sting forever. The Dodgers actually loaded the base in the top of the 10th inning, but they could not take advantage of it either. The Blue Jays got out of it. It was still tied at 4. Oh yeah, Yamamoto pitched the 10th inning as well. And then I was like, oh no, we're going to have another marathon game. This one was on to the 11th inning, and this was the 3rd Game 7 in World Series history to go into the 11th inning, and the first since 1997. The first time it ever happened was Game 7 between the Nationals and Giants that went 12 innings in 1924. But I think that this was the record for the most innings played in a World Series. You had 11 extra innings added on to already 7 total games of innings. And then Will Smith hit the go-ahead home run 5-4 in the top of the 11th. And Yamamoto came right back out for the 11th inning. He got the double play ball with runners on the corners and 1 out, and the Dodgers won the 2025 World Series. Yamamoto is the first player since Randy Johnson to have a win in Games 6 and 7, and the first since Randy to have 3 wins in a single World Series. I mean, you got to give it up for him, but it kind of sucks that the Dodgers won it I mean, they essentially bought this ring. The Dodgers used a $750 million pitcher, a $182 million pitcher, a $136.5 million pitcher, and a $325 million pitcher to win the World Series all on Saturday night. That's not sustainable, and something's going to happen with the salary cap or some type of salary floor where owners are incentivized to spend more. You know what? I don't even blame owners that much. MLB is letting this happen, and they're not doing anything to fix it. So that will be it for baseball for this year. We do have a little side note. The Twins hired Derek Shelton last week. The last time they were searching for a manager, it was between Shelton and Rocco Baldelli. They went with Rocco, just fired Rocco, and now are going with their second choice from the last cycle that was fired all the way back in May and from a worse team as their next manager. Seems smart. Okay, let's move on to college football. Let's get the Penn State coaching news out of the way. So, no Matt Rule for Penn State. They missed out on both Signetti and Rule due to contract extensions. He signed a small 2-year deal that will keep him with Nebraska through 2032, but it also added a $15 million buyout this year. Is Marcus Freeman becoming more real? I think it might be. And actually, I'm so happy about this news. They reportedly turned down Urban Meyer after he bombed his second interview with Pat Kraft and gave unsatisfactory answers and plans for navigating the NIL. Thank the Lord. Nobody wanted Urban Meyer. All right, college football fucking sucks without ESPN. They need to get something hashed out. And like I said, Disney is making more than enough money to make this happen without increasing the price for the consumers. It's just stupid. This ended up being my quad box on Saturday. All right, let's go through it here. Number 1, Ohio State at Penn State. First half wasn't looking that bad. It was 17-14, but then Penn State scored no more points the rest of the game. It was 38-14 Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith had a great game, and that was like his first really good game this year. 6 catches, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Indiana crushed Maryland 55-10. Georgia took care of business against Florida 24-20. That was in our parlay, the Doc parlay. Man, it didn't hit. Cincinnati kind of shit the bed, so the parlay did not hit. But Ole Miss beat South Carolina. North Carolina State upset Georgia Tech 48-36. It was kind of just a matter of time until this happened. They were definitely not the number 7 team in the country. There was no way they were as good as the teams that were around them. Texas upset Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt came all the way back to cover and get the 3.5-point cover. Texas won 34-31. SMU upset Miami. They intercepted Carson Beck in overtime, and they got the touchdown. 26-20. Notre Dame won. Texas Tech crushed Kansas State. Oklahoma beat Tennessee 33-27. Virginia won. Louisville won. Utah, like I said, beat Cincinnati. It wasn't so much of an upset. Utah was 10.5-point favorites. And they got this triple QB thing going on that really works for them. All of them can run the ball very well and, throw passes to each other. It's kind of an insane offense what they got going on there in Utah. Michigan beat Purdue. West Virginia got their first decent win of the year. They beat Houston 45-35. And then USC beat Nebraska 21-17. All right, so for the AP poll, that's going to go over the AP poll first and then compare it to the college football playoff rankings. No one moved in the top 7. Still Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, Ole Miss, and BYU is now number 8. Texas Tech moved up to number 9 after crushing Kansas State. Notre Dame is back in the top 10. They're the highest ranked 2-loss team. Not surprising, although it should be. They should not be there, probably. Oklahoma is 11. They moved up 7 after beating Tennessee. How? I mean, I guess Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, and Miami all plummeted. But to move up 7 for beating number 14 Tennessee is kind of crazy to me. They moved ahead of Virginia. They moved ahead of Louisville. Texas is all the way up to 13. God damn it. Vanderbilt 15. Georgia Tech 16. Utah up to 17. That was a really good showing from them. Like I said, Miami down there at 18. Mizzou State put USC up 3. They should be ahead of Michigan. They already beat Michigan. And Tennessee down 9. And then Cincinnati down 8 to number 25. College football playoff bracket. All right, and here we have it, the initial college football playoff rankings this year. Okay, so not much has changed in the top 10, but we do have one little change that it's glaring almost. So Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia number 5, Ole Miss, BYU, Texas Tech, then Oregon number 9. And then Notre Dame, number 10. Texas is 11. Oklahoma 12. Utah 13. They're putting a little bit more respect on Utah's name than the AP poll. And then we got Virginia, Louisville, Vanderbilt at 16. Virginia Tech at 17. Miami, USC, Iowa, Michigan, Missouri, Washington. Pittsburgh is in the college football playoff rankings, and then Tennessee all the way down to 25. Cincinnati is not in there at the bottom, I realized. So the big difference here in the top 10 was Oregon moving from 6 to 9 and everyone else below them moving up 1. They really do not respect Oregon this year, huh? I mean, they really haven't been blowing out opponents by as much as they're used to. So maybe there's just some like, oh, they're not scoring enough. The Notre Dame being number 10, not a surprise at all. They're number 10 in the AP poll as well. Texas is up 2 spots in the college football playoff rankings compared to the AP poll. People are complaining about Georgia Tech being ranked so low, but they really did kind of get blown out by NC State. There's no reason you should lose to NC State. Their offense, Georgia Tech's offense, yeah, they put up a lot of yards, but it almost seems like they don't have the juice to really compete with the top teams. So Georgia Tech is all the way down at 17. They're 16 in the AP poll, so I don't really know why people are complaining as much as they are. Yeah, they're 8-1, but it's Georgia Tech. I mean, at least they're ahead of Miami, who is number 18. And people are complaining that Notre Dame's ranked so high because Miami beat Notre Dame. And what was that, week 1, week 2? I don't know. Recently, Miami's been falling off. Notre Dame's been staying steady. So that's part of the reason why I think that Miami's ranked so low. And it makes sense to me. I really don't have any gripes with this. Obviously, you could argue that Indiana or Texas A&M should be number 1, but Ohio State being 1, Indiana 2, Texas A&M 3, Alabama 4, Georgia 5. I'm completely fine with that. Alabama keeps winning games, Georgia keeps winning games, Texas A&M keeps scoring at least 40 points a game. That's really good. They have one of the highest strength of schedules, strength of records. I was actually kind of surprised that Texas A&M wasn't number 1, just based on all their number 1 metrics. All right, but let's get into this bracket because this is really interesting. So they have Ohio State at 1, Indiana at 2, even though they're the conference leader right now, and then Texas A&M at 3, even though they should be 2. And Ohio State should be number 3 in this case if they both win their conferences, I would imagine. So then BYU is projected to win the Big 12, and they're going to be up against Notre Dame right now. I would actually really love to see that game. Virginia would be going up against Ole Miss. They're projected to win the ACC right now. That's why they're in there. Oregon at Texas Tech, 9 against 8 seed. And then this one is really interesting because Memphis is the highest ranked non-Power 4 conference team, but they're not in the top 25 of the college football playoff rankings. That is absolutely insane, and I know that they would get their shit pushed in against Georgia. So maybe we're hoping for someone else. I don't know. This is the thing. Maybe you do the highest rated independent, which would be either, I guess, Notre Dame or UConn. But I don't know how you would solve this issue. Because Memphis right now is going to get absolutely blown out if the season ended today and this were the bracket. And then we would have Georgia against Alabama. It's a little bit boring. Ohio State against Oregon or Texas Tech. I think that would make for a good game. Then Texas A&M against Ole Miss or Virginia. I don't know. Virginia pulled off that upset against Florida State, but we all know that Florida State isn't as good as we thought they were initially. So I think Texas A&M would run away with that one. And then we would have either BYU or Notre Dame up against Indiana. Ooh, man, just like last year, I think we could see an Indiana-Notre Dame rematch, and I think Indiana would win it this year. Ooh, that would be really good. Okay, now that's what I'm hoping for. I hope that happens. Holy shit. So yeah, I don't have many gripes with this other than Memphis being in and they're not even in the top 25. That's kind of wild to me. They might have to make it an at-large spot because, man, yeah, Memphis just right now stands no chance against any SEC team. They almost lost against Central Florida or South Florida. I do find it funny that if Memphis weren't in there, Texas would be the first team in, but they're actually the first team out. And right now the second team out is Oklahoma. Oh, man. So there's a little bit of controversy. I knew that something would come along with that. You know what? If Georgia Tech wants to stop bitching, they can win the ACC and get in guaranteed. Right now, Georgia Tech would be playing Virginia in the ACC championship. But Pittsburgh, right there behind them. You know what? I think Pittsburgh could beat Georgia Tech. I really do. I think they could beat Virginia as well. You know what? I might put a little bet on God damn it, I almost called them the Pirates, on the Panthers to win the ACC. Ooh, I bet that's a popular bet right now. I bet it's probably not that great odds. And funny enough, right now Navy is leading the American Conference, which Memphis is in. So, if they both win out and Navy beats Memphis in the American Conference championship game, Navy could make the college football playoff. Holy shit. For the Big 12, it would be BYU against Texas Tech in their conference game. Indiana against Ohio State in the Big 10. And then it would be Texas A&M up against Alabama in the SEC championship game. I guess everyone abandoned East and West this year. That makes a lot more sense to me. Why not have the top two teams in the conference championship game? Usually in the Big 10, there's a big disparity between, the East and West, or whatever it was, Big 10, whatever. But Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan were all in the same division within their conference. And usually those were the top three teams in the Big 10. Two of them would be left out. It would make much more sense just to go to an overall record. Okay, but what do we have this week? I know last week that I said there was only like one ranked matchup, but there were, I believe, three. Oklahoma, Tennessee, Cincinnati, Utah, and then Texas, Vanderbilt. Yeah. So I got to look better, I guess. Oh, great. Indiana's going up against Penn State. God damn it. Tickets as low as $25. Georgia, Mississippi State, BYU at Texas Tech. Tickets as low as $419. That is a must-see game. Bear Bachmeier's going off, number 47 QB for BYU. Ohio State, Purdue, Texas A&M at Mizzou. That might be a really good game. Oregon at Iowa. Syracuse, it would be hilarious if they beat Miami. And then LSU, Alabama at night. That might be a good game. Who knows, though, because they might do better without Brian Kelly, actually. And then Navy is going up against Notre Dame. Ooh, might put some money on Navy there, but Notre Dame's a 26.5-point favorite. Never mind. We'll see what craziness goes on next week. I was not expecting anything this week, and I know I said it. I even said it. I was like, man, it's going to be a boring week. But the last time I said it, some shit went down, and some shit went down. Okay, let's move on to the NFL. Thursday night game. The Ravens looked completely like the Ravens. Lamar threw 4 touchdowns, and the Ravens won 28-6 against the Dolphins, who, again, just look hapless. But I don't know. Should I be worried that the Dolphins just blew out the Falcons, and the Falcons almost just beat the Patriots? Come on. I really believe that if they would have made that extra point, the game was going to go over into overtime, and the Falcons would have won. Drake London absolutely went off with 3 touchdowns on 118 yards. Every time he got the ball, they were doing something that I hated. They were running pick plays where he got off Gonzo so that he was being covered by Marcus Jones, who you do not want on Drake London. Although Marcus Jones, yes, he's been great, but he's not the guy you want on Drake London. May was only 19 for 29 with 259 pass yards and 2 touchdowns. But he was also sacked 6 times and had a pretty ugly interception. And I hate these 1 o'clock games after the time change. Those shadows are fucking with them so much. Even Bijan was looked up and was like, I could not see that ball at all. And it's funny, at the beginning of the year, everyone was like, oh, why didn't you keep Parker Romo over Andy Borregales after that first game? And now Falcons, Parker Romo missed that extra point, and he was just cut by the Falcons, and Andy has been basically dead nuts their whole season since then. Patriots won 24-23 and are 7-2, sitting pretty. The Bears played a wild game against the Bengals. The Bears ended up winning 47-42. Joe Flacco had 470 yards and 4 touchdowns on 31 for 47 passing. Oh my God. But those 2 interceptions kind of killed him, and Caleb Williams had kind of a clean day. He wasn't super accurate, but he had no turnovers, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he also added on 53 yards of rushing to that. Oh, and he also added a passing touchdown, a reception touchdown on a passing touchdown from DJ Moore. Yes, I love it. This was Loveland's breakout game, and I'm hoping that I can get him in fantasy, especially after Tucker Kraft tore his ACL. It's a huge, huge loss. Oh my God, we might as well go over that game. The Packers could do nothing the whole time. They no points in the first quarter, 2 field goals in the second quarter, nothing in the third quarter, and just the 1 touchdown in the fourth quarter. Packers, after looking like Super Bowl contenders week 1, now you're 5-2-1. That's not a horrible record, but yeah, I'm lacking confidence in you. That's for sure. Especially after this stinker, this 16-13 stinker against the Panthers. Ugh. Rico Dowdle went off for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Shane actually had him on his bench in fantasy, the person that I was going up against in fantasy. And even if he would have had Rico Dowdle, and even if he would have had the Ravens defense in there over the Raiders defense, he still would have lost because he only scored 61 points. And I scored 109, so I was fine. Just like the Patriots, 7-2, sitting pretty at the top of my fantasy league. Definitely going to make the playoffs. I just hope it's not a first-round exit. I can tell you what, maybe with a better game from Gibbs, I'd be able to score a little bit more points. A 5-point stinker from Gibbs? What is that? The Lions, refused to use him in the red zone. Basically, anytime from the 40 in, they went to Montgomery. I was like, what are you doing? I didn't know if he was hurt or what, but he wasn't. But he might have been hungover from Halloween, making all those different costumes with his girlfriend. J.J. McCarthy did what the Vikings needed him to do. Nothing spectacular. He threw for 143 yards, but he had 2 passing touchdowns. So, I mean, he was effective when they needed him to be. Vikings won 27-24. And actually, that division is very close right now because you got the Packers at the top at 5-2-1. The Lions at 5-3, the Bears at 5-3, and then the Vikings at 4-4 at the bottom of the division. That's insane. All right, Chargers survived a scare from the Titans. They won 27-20, but they lost Joe Alt. He got surgery on his ankle. He's going to be out for the year. 49ers beat the Giants 34-24, and Mac Jones, back attack, Mac Jones, 19 for 24, 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. Quarterback controversy? I think so. Mac Jones is doing nothing to get him benched other than not being paid as much as Brock Purdy. All right, huge game in Pittsburgh, and a big reason why I won in fantasy this week because Daniel Jones threw 3 interceptions and had 2 fumbles, and Jonathan Taylor only had 45 yards. Steelers defense came in clutch when I needed him to. Oh my God, they looked like their old selves. Daniel Jones still had 342 yards passing, but it's because they were playing catch up most of the time, and he did almost no damage thanks to the turnovers. The Steelers won 27-20. Oh, Shane also had DK Metcalf, who only had 2 catches for 6 yards. He only had 2.6 fantasy points. I got extremely lucky in that game. That could have been really bad for me. All right, Broncos-Texans. The Broncos, god damn it, cardiac horses. What's the term for, I don't know, is there a term for, instead of cardiac cats? Heart attack horses. There you go. That's it. Oh, we did it. The heart-beating Broncos. I mean, those are 2 pretty good ones just right off the top. The Broncos scored 11 in the fourth quarter to win 18-15 over the Texans. And man, I keep saying it, the Texans are bad. No one wants to believe it, but they're bad. But on the flip side, the Broncos might also be one of the worst 7-2 teams. All right, Jaguars-Raiders. This game was actually pretty entertaining. It went into overtime, and then the Jaguars got the touchdown, but then the Raiders had a chance to respond due to the new rules. The Raiders went for 2, could not get it, and that was it. The Jaguars won 30-29. Cam Little, though, backed up his talk in the preseason. He hit that 70-yarder in the preseason, came through with a 68-yarder in Las Vegas. New NFL record. Rams blew out the Saints 34-10. And then we had the game of the week, and it did not disappoint. Although I would have wished, actually, I kind of would have hoped the Chiefs would have won just to put the Patriots up a little bit more in the division. But that's fine. The Bills beat the Chiefs 28-21. And Josh Allen went off. He was 23 for 26 with 273 yards and a touchdown. But he did some damage on the ground in the red zone, adding on 2 more touchdowns on 19 yards rushing. Now you just know that the Bills are going to lose to the Chiefs if they meet up in the playoffs. You just know it. All right, Seahawks Commanders, which I have no idea why this was the Sunday night game. No clue at all. Seahawks blew out the Commanders 38-14. Jackson Smith-Njigba had another great game. 8 receptions, 129 yards. He's still on pace for 2,000 yards. But Jaden Daniels can't help but get hurt. Every time he gets hit, he gets hurt now. A really bad dislocated elbow. It might have been worse than Khalil Mack's because he went to go catch himself, and then right when he went to catch himself, his elbow, his forearm just bent completely back behind his back. Oh, my God, that was bad. That was a really bad one. And here it is.
Daniels got tangled, and the arm just gets pinned.
And Dan Quinn, do not apologize for having him in the game. This is the NFL. This is not college football. You play to stay competitive. You're losing. You're getting paid millions of dollars to stay in the game and do your job. I have no problem with Jaden Daniels still being in there when he was. All right, and then the Monday night game, Cardinals at the Cowboys. Jacoby Brissett was the surprise starter, and I guess, Kyler Murray was not traded, so Kyler Murray will be starting next week, and hopefully Trey Benson is back next week for me. Have him in IR, stash away on IR. Oh, and some quarterback news in Arizona. Jacoby Brissett is going to be the starter moving forward. It seems like Kyler Murray's foot isn't fully healed yet, but even if he was fully healthy, Jonathan Gannon said that he was going to start Brissett instead. Wow. Something's going to be happening there. Kyler Murray, I'm really surprised he wasn't traded today. Out 4 to 8 weeks, basically, for Kyler Murray. Damn, that sucks. But thank you, man, at Texas Roadhouse Bar for convincing me to take the under in this game. 27-17. The under was 53.5. The under hit here was 44 total points. I put $100 on it, so I made some good money at Texas Roadhouse. Also had some entertainment there. Oh my God. I'm not even going to tell that story on here, but holy shit. It was a very interesting night at the Texas Roadhouse. All right, week 10. What do we got here? Raiders at the Broncos is the Thursday night game. Back to a Sunday morning game, baby. This is the Berlin game, and it's going to be the Falcons at the Colts. Oh man, Falcons. Maybe if they play like they did against the Patriots, it'll be a decent game, but I think the Colts got this one. Patriots at the Buccaneers. With how bad Penix just diced them up, I am very afraid for what Baker is going to do to them and what Egbuka is going to do to them. Please, just for fantasy's sake and just because I already know that they're going to lose the game, Gonzo, please have a bad game so Egbuka can go off and get me like 30 points. Giants, Bears, Bills, Dolphins, Ravens at the Vikings. That might be a decent game. Browns, Jets, the Saints, and the Panthers. Ugh. Jaguars, Texans, Cardinals, Seahawks. Yeah, I might be interested in that one. Like I said, if Trey Benson is back, then I'll definitely be watching a little bit. Rams, 49ers. That's going to be for the top of the NFC West. Actually, the Seahawks. Oh, that's another division that's also very competitive at the top. Seahawks and Rams are 6-2. The 49ers are 6-3, and the Cardinals are 3-5. We got the Lions, Commanders, and then the Steelers, Chargers on Sunday night, with the Eagles and Packers rounding out the week on Monday night next week. ESPN, goddammit, figure something out and get a deal done before that game. I actually really want to watch that. But already, the trade deadline happened. Patriots did nothing. Absolutely nothing. Actually, very disappointed that they didn't do something and at least try to get Bradley Chubb from the Dolphins. Or, I mean, maybe even like a Tony Pollard would have been nice. Chuba Hubbard would have been nice. Literally anything. But they made no additions whatsoever.
Well, first I would say that deals are like being pregnant. You either are or you aren't. There's no like it's either a deal or it's not. So I don't know how close you can be.
I mean, with a booty injury, I wouldn't have even minded if they traded for Jacoby Myers, who ended up on the Jags for a 4th rounder and a 6th round pick. They could have totally done that. But we got some big ones. The Jets were fire selling and didn't fire sell enough. They made 2 huge trades, but didn't I don't know why. They got allowed out of it. Like Quinnen Williams went to the Cowboys for a 2026 second, a 2027 first, and DT Mazzie Smith, who was the Cowboys' first-round pick last year. But that's not even the craziest one, because Sauce Gardner is going to the Colts for 2 first-round picks, 2026 and 2027, and Adonai Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell is in that trade. Actually, might take a flyer on him in fantasy. That is an insane return, especially after the massive contract that he just signed. Like I said, Jets seemed to be building for the future with the young talent that they had. Quinnen Williams, I could see trading away, but not Gardner. Why would you trade Sauce? And not trade everyone else, too, like Jermaine Johnson and Garrett Wilson. Just get rid of everyone. Don't get rid of half of your good players. And Breece Hall. They didn't trade Breece Hall. He's not going to re-sign with them this year. There's no way. He took all of the Jets pictures off of his Twitter after the trade deadline passed. And then another big one that I think will be very good for the Seahawks. Rashid Shaheed is going to the Seahawks for a 2026 4th and 5th rounder. Not very expensive. Again, would have liked to taken a flyer on him, Patriots. But Trevor Penning was traded to the Chargers for offensive line help. Jalen Phillips was traded to the Eagles from the Dolphins for a 3rd-round pick. God damn it. Could have done that. That's a little bit high, but it might have been worth it. Patriots don't have any edge rushers. Draymond Jones to Baltimore. No other big ones today. But yeah, kind of disappointed in the Patriots, that's for sure. I'm wearing the bacon hat because we are going to get cooked by Baker next week. I'm sure of that. All right, but let's check to see if anything happened. But alrighty, I believe that's it for this week. Make sure to leave a like and comment on each video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hoagies and Pierogis is available wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple, wherever. Fuck that up. Follow us on Instagram for clips throughout the week. And we'll leave you with this. Thank you very much. Recorded in Central Pennsylvania in front of a live studio audience with your host, Ian DiCarlo. This is Hoagies and Pierogis.